If you're dealing with a big emotion like anxiety or anger, should you try to change it, fix it, or should you try to accept it and build resiliency around it? I spent a lot of time thinking about this, and it's really confusing nowadays because it seems like depending on what you read or watch online, there are conflicting opinions on which approach is best. And I think ultimately the answer is a bit of both. So, first of all, anxiety, depression, difficult feelings, these are a fact of life. It's very, very common for almost everyone to deal with these things because the future is inherently uncertain. That's the basic cause of anxiety. We can't perfectly predict what the future holds, right? And the world today is overwhelming. It's very normal to feel depressed or overwhelmed or anxious or nervous or lonely, right? We're all more disconnected than ever. There's so much scary stuff happening in the news, right? So, on the one hand, these types of experiences really are inescapable. You're bound to experience these kinds of emotions. But on the other hand, um, it's very natural to want to dissipate them, to tone them down, right? So you can get through your day and focus on the other things that you want to prioritize. So the way I think about it is when you're feeling a big emotion, start by quickly evaluating it. How bad is this right now? So this is in psychology what's called the window of tolerance, that we all have kind of a window in which we are capable of managing this experience. And if you're outside that window, then it can feel like you're just totally losing yourself or losing your ability to kind of come back to your anchor, to come back to a sense of control. And what we would say is that on one end of the window of tolerance is kind of a shutdown response, where you're so freaked out that you just freeze or you just go blank. You're just kind of, you don't even know, your thoughts are kind of blurry, right? And then on the other end is kind of you are really energized and you can't sit still, or you just want to lash out, or you want to fight, right? And so either of those responses can make it really difficult to process the situation rationally or reasonably or in a way that you feel like you can handle this. So, there are kind of specific ways of dealing with each end, but in general, I think the basic approach is ground yourself in the present moment through your senses. As often, if you are really freaking out, it's because your brain is reminded of something that happened to you a long time ago. Maybe in your childhood or something that wasn't safe, something that was really scary. So you're kind of time traveling back. Or you're thinking about, the future. Oh my God, what if this bad thing happens? So you're kind of time traveling to the future, right? And so the basic key is come back to the present moment that is probably not actually as bad as either of those things in most cases. So you can do that by looking around the room and naming objects like, okay, there's a couch, there's a chair, there's a light. Or you can listen for sounds, hearing them around you. Or what I like to do often is just rub my fingers together. And you can do this in your pocket so no one notices, and just really concentrate on the feeling of your fingers, right? And that gets you in the present moment. So step one is just notice, how bad is this? If it is really bad, if you feel outside your window of tolerance, then try to fix it. Try to change it, right? It does you no good to just try to be with that, right? Because it's too much. You can't handle it. So you could use one of those techniques of looking around, rubbing your fingers. Breathing can really help. Basic idea, you can go in through the nose and longer out through the mouth. And that long out breath kind of sends a signal to your system to slow down, your heart to slow down. Also, ask for help, right? If it's really bad, see if there's a safe person around that you can ask to, give you some grounding touch, like put a hand on your back, or hold your hand, or give you a hug, or just be with you, just observe you, right? Or breathe with you. Both of you breathing together can kind of calm your system. Sometimes if you're in a social situation and it feels kind of embarrassing to manage yourself, you can go hide in the bathroom for a minute as you breathe, or you can go for a walk. Just try to change your context. Maybe if something in this room is really freaking you out, maybe get out of the room and ground yourself out there, and then you can come back in when you're ready. So that's kind of step one. If it's too much, try to manage your experience, try to dissipate it. But then step two is, if instead you are within your window of tolerance, or you've managed to get back within your window of tolerance, but you're still feeling uncomfortable, then I think that can be a great opportunity to practice being with discomfort, to slowly build your capacity, your resilience. And so often, if you can be within the window, but kind of at the edge, so it's like almost too uncomfortable, that can be a great place to really practice growth. So you have to be careful not to step over into the intolerant area, where it's too much. But if you're kind of safely within that boundary, then the practice can be just being with. So if you're in a storm, instead of saying, I need to get out of the storm, I need to fix the storm, you're saying, I am going to practice accepting the storm right now. And this can be really hard, especially for analytical thinkers like me who want to fix the storm, who want to change it. If only I can think this through, I can solve the puzzle, I can figure out where the storm came from, how to change the storm, and then the storm will never come back. Right? That's kind of the myth that we tell ourselves. But the truth is, like I said earlier, reality is just kind of inherently anxiety-inducing a lot of the time, right? Or depression-inducing, or anger-inducing. And so the emotions are going to come back at some point. So you're fooling yourself if you think, if I can just analyze the storm, if I can understand it, then it won't bother me again. That's just not true. It sounds nice. But really, the skill to develop is, if you're within your window of tolerance, practice being in the storm and being okay with it. And okay with it doesn't mean enjoying it, but it means just noticing, here I am in anger, here I am in loneliness. Okay, this is what loneliness feels like. Great. I'm not going to try to change it right now. I'm just going to feel, wow, what is it like to be lonely? Wow, I'm really sad right now. What does it feel like to be sad? And you're not asking what is it like in order to understand it, analyze it, strategize, fix it. But it's really a more kind of pure form of curiosity. Just like, wow. It's almost like going on vacation somewhere for the first time. You're like, whoa, what is this culture like? I wonder why they do that. I wonder what that thing does. You're not saying, I wonder what that thing does so that I can change it, so that I can fix it. You're just genuinely curious. I wonder why that's there. So it's the same with like, oh, there's this big grief here. I don't have to understand why. It's just, interesting. What's this big grief like? And really, that's a somatic, emotional investigation. Again, if you're an analytical thinker, you're going to go to your mind to analyze it. But I'm suggesting instead it's like surfing the waves of the emotion. Like, oh, what is this wave like? Oh, this one I feel kind of tightness in my shoulders. Oh, here I feel clenching in my gut. Oh, there's like tingles. Oh, there's cold. Oh, there's poking and over here. And you're just examining. What is this? What is this? What is this? And that's where it becomes kind of an existential or spiritual practice. A lot of Buddhism is oriented around this. So reality happens. Negative experiences happen. Difficult experiences happen. And from the Buddhist perspective, what you can do is just be curious. Okay, this is reality unfolding in this moment. This is what it's like to be alive in this moment. I don't need to change it. I don't need to judge it as being bad or wrong. Just, okay, here's what's here now. But counterintuitively, often if you can do that, you'll notice it actually changes. If you're clenching hard, saying, I hate this storm, I hate this storm, I have to understand it, I have to fix it, fix it, fix it, go away storm, then the storm actually just gets worse. But if instead you can just say, here is the storm, I am the storm is happening, what is it like to be in the storm? Then you'll notice the storm starts to shift, and eventually it might fade away. Sometimes it won't. And great, okay, this is a long storm, right? But it will inevitably change. It's never going to stay exactly as it is forever. So I hope that helps. It's not easy. It's kind of simple in some ways, but not easy. So I hope you can practice this Again, notice your window of tolerance. If you're outside it, try to change it in some way. Try to manage it with breathing, asking for help, changing your context, going for a walk, jumping up and down, shaking your body, whatever it is. And then if you're within your window of tolerance, that's an opportunity to practice being with and building your resilience. I wish you a nourishing day.